A major policy shift. President Biden is now allowing Ukraine to use American weapons provided by the U.S. on Russian soil for limited strikes. Earlier this morning, Secretary of State Antony Blinken addressed the decision during a press conference in Prague.
The hallmark of our engagement, our support for Ukraine over these more than 2 years, has been to adapt and adjust as necessary to meet what's actually going on the battlefield, to make sure that Ukraine has what it needs, when it needs it, to do that deliberately and effectively.
Ukraine can use the weapons to target the Russian side of the border near the besieged city of Kharkiv, where the Ukrainian army has been facing growing pressure. Holly Williams, who's been reporting on the war since it began, has the story.
President Biden's given Ukraine the green light to use US-supplied weapons to strike inside Russia's borders.
We're always learning and we're always making determinations about what's necessary to make sure that Ukraine can effectively continue to defend itself, and will continue to do that.
But there are conditions. Ukraine's now permitted to fire American-supplied weapons into Russia at forces that are attacking or preparing to attack in the region close to the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, a US official told CBS News. Though that does not extend to ATACMS, US missiles with a range of up to 190 miles. Still, it's a major shift. The US has provided more than $50 billion in military assistance to Ukraine since Russia invaded in 2022. But has previously refused to allow the Ukrainians to use American weapons outside its borders, worried about escalating the conflict. The White House restated that position just 3 days ago.
We don't encourage or enable the use of US-supplied weapons to strike inside Russia.
But this month, Russia launched a deadly new offensive around Kharkiv, raising fears that Ukraine's second-largest city could fall. Despite the US government's limited, calibrated approach, a senior Russian official responded today, saying that NATO countries that supply long-range weapons to Ukraine are already participating in a war with Russia. And he reiterated Russia's threat to use tactical nuclear weapons against Ukraine. Anne-Marie.
You know, Holly, this is a pattern that we've seen throughout the entire war. Ukraine asks for either more military aid or different types of military aid. The U.S. says no, 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 no. And then after so much time is lost and humans are lost, they relent. And so Ukraine has been asking for this for a while. And now they've been given permission. But Kharkiv is already devastated. How much of an impact can this really have on the front line?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question, Anne-Marie. You know, since the earliest days of the war in Ukraine, there actually have been strikes inside Russian territory and acts of sabotage on Russian infrastructure that have been pretty widely attributed to Ukraine. We've also filmed with an armed Russian dissident group that is based in Ukraine with the permission of Ukrainian authorities, and that launched armed attacks into Russian territory. But now the Ukrainians have, you know, the blessing of the US. It's a limited blessing, but nevertheless, the green light to go ahead and use US-supplied weapons inside Russian territory. It follows on from earlier this month when the UK's Foreign Secretary said it was, quote, up to Ukraine to decide how it uses British weapons. And then today, Germany came out and said that it will give Ukraine permission to use its weapons against targets inside Russia. So this is a really important change. It allows Ukraine to use better, more powerful weapons against Russian forces on Russian soil. But the big question is whether this will successfully slow or even stop this new Russian offensive that is around the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, which is Ukraine's second largest city.
All right. Holly Williams, thank you so much.